Oh, I didn't ask.
Wickizer, like Budweiser, but
Oh,
Wickizer. Does that
Wickizer.
help?
Yes,
I
yeah.
don't know what that says.
I
That
know, I
people
meant to
can
ask
really
you
connect.
before,
when I
but
use
we
that.
got Dale Wickizer of Intentional Results. And her fun fact is that she used to play kayak.
Anybody know what that is?
Hopefully that wasn't because of that.
Yeah, yeah. There's one, yeah. Get in the kayaks.
Yeah.
And in the winter, you do it in a big Olympic swimming pool. And you get in a sit-in top kayak, you gotta wear your helmets. They got baskets at each end and you divide up into teams. And you just paddle like hell to make baskets and make points and pass the ball and break toes because you get hit with paddles, you get hit in the head. It's right, Beth, anything else you'd add to that?
No, I'm just thinking about how it's hard enough to do it on the ground. I don't know how you do it in the water.
Yeah, yeah.
Is
yeah.
there deliberate hitting with paddles? Or
I'm
is it
sure there
accident?
is.
They're all
Have you
accidents.
ever deliberately hit anyone?
Krista, we're staying on time. All right, so I'll give you a 5-minute warning.
Okay, wonderful. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Again, I'm Dale Wickizer. I'm with Intentional Results. I'm here today to launch my business site. And let me, do I have to, I gotta pause here. Do I have to share the screen? No.
Yes.
Oh, got it. Just a second. I need to reshare. All good? Okay, perfect. All right. So, I'm not, you don't have a clicker. Let's see if I can click this way. Thing is.
Try the up and down arrow.
Red arrow or something.
Yeah, yeah, let's see if we can. You'd think, right? Let me minimize this and see if that's. Well, I'm screen sharing, but it's not letting me back. Any good thoughts there?
Here we go.
You
Yeah,
just
just-
click on that.
Yeah, now you can use
Arrows.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, so again, Dale Wickizer, my ask today is I want to make sure I'm working on my concept of my idea to the point where I want to launch it. So I want to make sure the message is clear. You understand the problem, you understand the solution, how to differentiate my services. And then at the end of it, based on the information I'm sharing, if you were my ideal customer, would you set up a consultation with me? Yes or no? So we'll go a little bit fast. The problem here, because it's 6 minutes, the problem identified is that 60% of managers fail within 24 months. So over half of managers fail in the first 2 years. Why is that a problem? It's a problem because of the cost to your organization, not just in dollar amounts. The average cost to replace an employee is 1.5 times their salary. So if you're an $80,000 employee, it's $120,000 to replace them. That's just the monetary cost. You have other hidden costs, soft costs, client relationships, loss of productivity, morale. You have a lot of issues that come up behind the scenes with that, customer service, employee engagement, recruitment. 50% of, over 50% of millennials say that having a quality manager is extremely important to them. And I think we all know that with the workforce issues we're running into, and as some of us age out and we bring into new generations, it's really important to understand what is important to them in their recruiting. All right. This is kind of in that way there. So my takeaway and research shows that we spend a lot of time on training programs. And everybody's into the employee engagement. We have all these programs. You get the magazine, it has like 40 different classes that you can sign up for, right? That's great. But I've been a manager for a lot of years and I've mentored a lot of managers. And when they go back to the office and they have all this information, and they have to apply that information. But one, they're completely overwhelmed by their new gig, right? Now they're a manager, maybe for the first time. They're probably still doing a little bit of individual contributing as they change. Maybe their best friend is now their employee. There's a lot of dynamics when you become a new manager or a manager in general. And now you have all these tools and all this training, and somehow you're supposed to know what to apply when. So I like to look at it as you have a toolkit, right? You have all these training, you have all this experience, and you have all of this education. It's in your toolkit. But who's helping you know which tools to use when? That's where the rubber hits the road, where we start putting the practice of management into play. And that's what I bring to the table. I want to get in the trenches with the managers. I want to work alongside them, not just 8 to 5, not just, a 5-day training program and then send you home and good luck with that. I hope you could retain a lot of what's there. I want to be the person that comes into their office, customizes a training program for them based on their education, based on the training skills maybe they have from this company, based on their style. We do a lot with, predictive index, strengths indicator, Gallup. Every manager is individual. So every manager needs custom coaching to who they are, what their goals are, and then how we apply the tools and in which situations. I'm going to share a little bit about why this is important to me, not just because I see the need out there, but for 20 years, I've managed employees, developed employees. Sometimes managers get a bad rap, right? If you've ever been the manager, right, often you're the bad guy. I think it's kind of an underappreciated role. The management is the connection between the people and the business. If you can align the business, the organizational goals, the management and the leadership and the people, right? That's where the magic happens. That's where the business becomes successful. The employees are happy with their day. They have a sense of purpose. And in my point of view, the manager is the one that connects those dots, right? That's why you're seeing the quality of manager is important to a millennial starting. That's why you'll see the statistics, 1 in every 2 people have left a company because of their manager. Managers are critical, right? So if we can increase, if 1 in 10 people have the talent to manage, but with training, 2 in 10 can be successful in managing, isn't it worth the money and the investment to double the amount of people who could be successful in your company managing people, right? It can be just that easy, $1 and cents. But it can also be because it actually makes a difference in people's lives, right? We spend a lot of time at work. We have influence on one another, and we can make a difference in what their day looks like, what their home life looks like when they go home. And it can all work together. We can all be in sync. It can all be magical. But it does need to be intentional. And that's where I believe I come in. My ideal clients would have an HR, maybe just beginning with an HR dedicated person, maybe 100, 150 employees at the minimum. That's enough to start having management. One of the triggers that you might see in an organization that maybe needs a little help, a little assist, is somebody who's going through rapid growth, somebody who's had a big shift in the industry. And so there's a lot of change, right? People struggle with change. A lot of people do. And that's a lot of times where your manager comes in, is to give that trust in that relationship. So maybe somebody's had 3 managers in a year. That's kind of a problem, right? Maybe there's an acquisition and emerging cultures. That's a big shift in a company and organization. And that takes extra attention and extra leadership to get there. So again, I'm Dale Wickizer, Intentional Results. Thank you for letting me run this past you. I'm excited to hear your thoughts, your recommendations. And I'm done. And am I on time?
6:02.
Excellent. Yeah.
That was beautiful. That was really clear and compelling. I like the specificity of your message.
Thank you.
I liked the way you got us intrigued and drew us in why we needed your services. It was easy, it flowed. You moved from one point to the other well, I felt. And having a company of 100+, I definitely want to test you out for sure.
Excellent. Oh, well,
No
thank
doubt.
you. Appreciate that.
I didn't love the 60% of managers fail opening slide because it was very ambiguous to me. Like, what does it mean when a manager fails? But then you went into all the things that it meant when a manager fails, like
Okay.
50 or 1 out of 2 people or 3 people leaving because they have a crappy manager, right?
Right.
Like, I don't know if there's a way to clarify that or there's somehow change that hook messaging, because that's your hook, right? It's your first slide. And to me, it was ambiguous. But everything after that was, I liked. I thought you really kind of dug in and defined the problem. So maybe there's something there. I've been in that position. I've been in large organizations and seen, like what really bad management is and what really good management is.
Yeah.
I'd also say be careful about your customer selection. You have, obviously you have customers and you have your users, right? Or your clients are going to be the managers that you're training, but your customers are going to be the organization.
Correct.
And I would strongly encourage you not to focus on HR. I think your organization, especially in that 100 to maybe 1,000 employee range, it's really the business owner, the people that are vested in that business and getting it spun up and getting it scaled. HR is typically at that stage more of a function of necessity than a function of looking at, okay, how do we look at efficiency in the organization or making an effective organization? Whereas the owners of that business, or maybe it's even the investors at that stage, are really the ones that are going to be vested in making sure you're getting the right people to create that community culture and make sure that organization keeps ramping. So I don't see I don't necessarily, point being, I don't see HR as being your target. I see it as being the owners and or investors of companies at that
I
size.
appreciate that. I'm kind of doing a dual target thing because in large organizations, I feel like you're going to come in at the HR
Yes.
level, but at a smaller organization, you could probably still get FaceTime with
Agreed.
an owner. So that's a great point.
So
Thank
we've got Eric, we've got Ozzy, Stephanie, and then Beth.
you. Okay.
Y'all have an opinion.
You wanted feedback.
That's great. I did. I love it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, feedback coming. Great presentation. I mean, you've got a really good speaking presence.
Yeah.
I didn't think the message was clear and compelling, just to get really to the point. I think you weren't addressing the problem. You were talking about symptoms. Like a manager failing is a symptom of a problem. I think if you came in here and spoke directly as if we were your client, we also might understand who your client is. So I think that's senior management, right? You can consider that HR in some companies because they may manage some people down, but if you just think of it as presenting the problem of you're a senior manager you describe that type of a company, and this is the challenge you're having, which results in managers failing. You show just a couple, stats.
So I may be hearing you say some of the ending things that I did that bring that to the front.
Right.
Because definitely the point is to identify that problem, but maybe that's more of the root.
Because then
More
the
business
idea is you want the
aspect than
audience to be captivated, to relate to it, to go, oh, I do have that problem. What's your solution? And then you come in and say, well, we've done this to help improve that. And I've got this experience, and you've just set the stage a little clearer.
Thank you.
Ozzy, I'm gonna make you keep it short because we only have 5 minutes, and I have something I want to say too.
No problem. I'll leave you 4.5 minutes for you. As general feedback, I think this is one of the best presentations on this topic that I have seen. It was to a point, it was short, it captured the key ideas. A couple things is that I always ask is why you? And that question wasn't answered quite accurately. The other one is, I think different people look at different things, right? So you looked at HR, and HR can be an entry point for this. The senior executive ranks can be an entry point for this, but so can managers. The question is, who has the, shall we say, the budgetary authority to hire you? So those are always the two compelling issues. So I wouldn't necessarily, so you can choose to focus on only one, or you can simply say, I don't know who they are. I need to look at this organization, then figure out who has the budgetary authority to hire me. I think those are two key issues that came to mind. I hate to bring up problems without some solutions, but in some ways, if you had case studies, if you had something that illustrates how this process works out and how you deliver a compelling value, I think that it would help you. These are improvements, but I think in general, your presentation was very compelling. It was very clear, it was easy to understand, and you gave very good reasons for why this is a problem and a problem that needs to be looked at. So great job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Stephanie?
Sure. It's interesting, actually, Dale. I have a very similar business, and I have the same problem that I'm coming today to this forum with. But a couple of things that popped for me that I might think about when I offer a lot of executive coaching, and my clients for executive coaching are often associations. So that's just another angle that you can look at. And the thing that I always get asked about is how am I going to prove and measure success? So that's something that I didn't see in the presentation and might be something worth thinking about. It is impossible to actually describe, because how the hell do you describe a successful manager necessarily, other than like testimonials and people going, it's awesome. But it's worth thinking about. And I struggle with the same problem.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. And again, because I'm just kind of launching it, I'm still trying to figure out how do I pull together actual numbers to do the measurement behind it.
So we've got Beth, and then I'm gonna go.
So one of the things that, and I can't remember who brought it up, that I think would be really valuable for you, particularly as you're talking to your customer. And by the way, I do believe your customer is, when you're looking at 1,000 people or more, it is the business leader. It's not HR. Those are people who are like bookkeepers, I would argue at that point, they got to comply and so forth. So I would not focus on HR. And even if you go to large organizations, I would still not focus on HR unless you have a compelling, a great HR person who's a wonderful connector. Because having been in that field for 15 years, decades ago, HR is not the place where you've got the talent and the push. I think it's changing, but those are in big companies like Coca-Cola or something. So I think you need to direct your pitch to that person, that business person. And I think one of the things that would be really powerful for you, because you talked at the beginning about helping people execute against what they've learned and their knowledge. It's not about training programs. I think there's a place in there to think about being an accountability partner at some level for that business leader. Because if you're looking at a 1,000-person organization, those are the people who are setting the culture, they're setting the direction, and any manager down there is not to be able to do anything unless that owner is doing what you're saying they should be doing. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Stuff rolls downhill.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
Excuse me, I have something I see they didn't see. So 30 seconds. When you
I'm holding you to it because you skipped me. You better keep it to 30
I
seconds.
do see a special nice thing they didn't point out. I'm a graphic designer. I see your presentation, the design is very nice.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, a lot of space, short sentence, very clear titles. And the picture is not very serious. It's very natural looking, and that's very important. I
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
Nice.
Just did all by myself.
Yes, I would agree. I think like your slides are very nice. They're very simple. You have an excellent presentation style. And I think that was almost distracting because I was listening for your content rather than your presentation. And what I heard was problem, tiny bit of solution, problem. And so like Ozzy said, I didn't hear why you're the person to fix it. And I didn't hear exactly how you're going to fix it. I heard, I want to be in the trenches. So I hear what you want. I want to be in the trenches. I want to do this, but that was like 10 seconds of solution and just problem. So I don't actually know what you're providing to get the problem. And then what are the results that we're going to get from it? So we need solution and we need results and why you're the person to provide that solution and give those results. So if you can think of it that way, Jana, who isn't here anymore, used to always say, you're at 2 minutes and you're still talking about the problem.
Got it.
So those would be the pieces that I would say that really need to be in there, and really the focus on the results, like what results do they get from working with you? And then to the point of clients versus customers, it's sort of like the pharmaceutical company. Are you going to send out the advertising to the person who's going to ask their doctor for the prescription? So like, are you going to target the middle managers to then ask for the budget to receive coaching? Or are you going to go to the doctors to push the medicine down? In other words, like you're saying, like the HR or the CEO or whoever to like then say, oh, you people need this whether you want it or not.
Right. There's many entry points. That's kind of the challenge, is there's multiple entry points and where do I want to start? And then expand, but to see what works and what doesn't. But the feedback is amazing. Thank you guys so much for all of the insight, letting me present and listening to me today. Yeah, thank you.
Right, grab your second cup of coffee. We'll get Stephanie set up here online. And then when I shout, it's time to come back.
Now I have to grab my notes.
I might, you never know.
Interim dancer. This one, I switched out all
I
my.
can't,
my
because once you
PowerPoint.
find out what Stephanie's.
Yesterday was.
How are you?
The day before, because I didn't like what I had.
Dale, can you, or do the, she's already closed.
did,
Dana,
yeah.
can you shop her, shop her
You sure
scared?
can.
Can you shop her scared? Stop her.
Yes, thank you, thank you.
Hey, Leandra,
Yes.
just for the record, I have never had a pharmaceutical company offer me a trip to the Caribbean if I took their medicine. So there's a difference in presentations.
It's true.
I did, but I don't get up early enough to enjoy all of the stuff, so I just stopped.
Yup, putting the foot up.
Elevation.
Can you make it so Stephanie,
I did
hers up there?
Just grabbed
Thank
like,
you.
Make it so Stephanie can get her screen share up.
I was just getting sweaty.
Yeah, as soon as she
The stuff.
requested,
Oh.
just a moment, I'm trying to step.
Okay.
There,
There we go.
okay, yes.
Your space. Yeah. On this one, we ran out last week.
So the space with coffee.
Isolation.
No.
I can't wrap myself fast.
This is a COVID process.
Yeah, give you that extra bit. Watch out.
All right.
Booster immunity.
We had another booster earlier this week.
Yeah. Oh, did
That
you?
got a little.
Yeah, so there's a story behind that.
Yeah.
Zoom.
Peter, Peter, you're slightly out there. Just have gray hair.
And it wasn't.
All right, go sit.
Prematurely gray.
And I-
That was my dad. He was great.
And
Yeah,
so
so-
it keeps me from moving.
Oh, excuse me.
And that way.
All right, all right.
And that way the people on
Here
the other
comes
side
the
of the
music.
video don't
We can't
see
see
the
you. We
motion.
gotta move over.
Record. There you go.
There you go.
Depriving our digital
I don't
viewers.
think Stephanie's gonna be impressed with my dancing.
No.
Because. Hey,
Dancing
All right, I would like to introduce Stephanie Judge of Stephanie Judd of Wolf and Heron. And her fun fact is that she is not gonna be impressed with my dancing because she was an international competitive salsa dancer. She's got some moves, right? Like beyond like a little. I love ballroom dancing and I'm very sad that you are not here in person to give us a quick demonstration. The next time you're in town, I want to see you.
Oh, thank goodness I'm not there then. Okay, are we ready?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay. So my name is Stephanie Judd. I'm the founder and managing partner of Wolf and Heron. We've been in business for 6 years now. Some of our clients include Google, Facebook, Delta Airlines, University of Michigan. We're proud of our roster, and yet we still have a positioning problem, and we have no idea what it is that we do and how to talk about it, and particularly with a single one-sentence statement, which is what I'm trying to get to over the course of the next couple of months, I guess. I will take you through a bit of our history as a business and focus on our challenge that we've been struggling with for 6 years. And we've now retained a PR firm to help us, and we are hoping that this PR firm is going to help us land on a more solid understanding of who we are, what we do, and where we can be helpful to our clients. But I'd also like to source input from you all, so thank you for letting me be here. I don't need feedback on this deck or my delivery, and that's because most of our positioning is going to end up in written format, either in one-pagers or on our website or in the media or something. And maybe one day it'll be a talking point in a podcast interview. But for now, I'm more focused, I'm more interested in getting main bullet points and maybe even a single sentence that describes what we do. So, some history, very boring slide. My partner and I launched the business with this list of topic areas as the main source of our expertise. So we both have MBAs where we studied organizational individual behavior change. We looked at organizational psychology, change management, and then we went into a change management consulting firm where the rest of our expertise coalesced and all the other stuff happened. With years of experience driving change in organizations, we know a lot about what it takes to inspire, motivate, and lead people through journeys that often they're less than excited to be on in the first place. And so when we laid these topics out for ourselves at the beginning of Wolf and Heron, we realized that each topic is a different lens through which we can think about and understand people, what makes them tick, how they behave, what motivates them. And ultimately, we landed on this idea of influence as the umbrella headline for our area of expertise. Then we did some research, learned that influence is a hot button topic for managers and leaders, and we thought, okay, this is where we're going to start. And it has remained a guiding principle for us since the beginning. Influence is the principle for us. So, the positioning statement 6 years ago was something like this. Wolf and Heron is a leadership development company that specializes in the tools and skills of inspirational influence. But in the early years, we learned rather quickly that A, no one has any idea what inspirational influence is, and B, more relevantly, nobody's looking for it. It doesn't help our SEO because nobody's typing into Google, I want to be an inspirational influencer. And so we were thinking to ourselves, this isn't working. So we also learned that people search for specific services or topics. They don't look for a leadership development company, they look for something related to the service. So we laid out our services and we laid out our topics. Here's a list of both. In 2021, this is the list of our services and topics in revenue order. So I'll put that there and we'll talk about it later. We know that clients come to us looking for a specific topic or service or a combination of the two. So some sample Google searches that we have seen come through in our analytics are things like corporate storytelling training, or confidence coaching, or strategy retreat consulting and facilitation, right? It's these kinds of things that people are searching for. We'd like to be relevant to all of those searches, but we also recognize that there is specificity in power, or there's
Strike.
So question we're struggling with is how much specificity power do we want versus the sort of relevance to something more broad where we know we can provide value and be useful, So we looked at our list. We're like, where's our traction? Training programs make up 80% of our revenue. And the vast majority of that revenue comes from our storytelling program. Executive coaching makes up about 15% of our revenue, and we cover all the topics and then some in our executive coaching work with our clients. Meanwhile, we have corporate training programs on all of these leadership topics, and yet the superpower that my business partner and I have, the thing that makes us the most differentiated and the most special about how we go into the marketplace and the way that we design our programs, is that we are fantastic at meeting design and facilitation. Nobody's looking for this. Nobody wants training in it, but it's what we're very, very, very good at. And it's how our corporate training programs are so awesome, is because we know how to design experiences. We know how to design meetings and trainings to be super engaging and interesting. And they lean on and leverage all of the knowledge that we have about influence. So we were like, we'd like to position this skill set a little bit more, intentionally. So the next positioning statement we came up with was this: Wolf and Heron helps business leaders tell influential stories and run effective meetings. So this was an attempt to improve on our SEO, and it was an attempt to focus ourselves a little bit based on the revenue that we were seeing. However, even we can understand how influential stories and effective meetings don't make sense as a combo to anybody in the world other than the two of us, because we're looking at it going, oh, it's all related to influence, but nobody knows that, right? And then simultaneously, we have learned nobody's looking for how to run an effective meeting. This is not something that people are looking for. And so, it's not the right language still. So we go back to the drawing board once more. We're trying to figure out how to describe what we do that is specific enough to identify and broad enough to connect all the dots. So here's another attempt. There are three main skill areas that leaders need to master in order to lead. They have to know themselves, they have to know how to engage and inspire others, and they have to know how to get the job done. They have to achieve results. Now, most people first get noticed because they're good at their jobs and they achieve results. But eventually they also need to be able to leverage and to engage and inspire others and know enough about themselves to meaningfully do that. Our point of view is that most professionals need help in the knowing themselves and engaging others part. So that's where we focus. That's where our work is. Our executive coaching addresses any and all gaps in these areas, and our workshops and training programs mostly focus on the skills to inspire and engage others. This is where our expertise in storytelling and meeting design fits together, as well as many of the other influence skills that we have training programs for.
Stephanie, you're at 7 minutes.
Okay, I'm on my last slide.
Okay.
So here we are revisiting our positioning statement once again. What's currently on our website is that first one. But we recognize it's way too, it's no good. If we had our druthers, we would go with the aspirational statement, but that's too broad and it doesn't give anybody anything to hold on to. And the practical one that fits our SEO is better, but it's a bit over top, if you ask me. So I come to you with our problem. What do we do? What suggestions?
Oh, I already have stuff to say. All right. Bursting at the seams. I've been bursting at the seams.
I'm going to leave this slide up.
Do I take over and be like, no, I get to go first?
I get to go
Oh,
first.
leader.
Abuse the power.
Vetoed.
I'm using my power and I'm going first. All right, go back to your slide with your 80%. Because that was where to me, where the whole thing was done.
Yep.
The Pareto rule says that 20% of your effort gives you 80% of your results. If you know that corporate training is 80% of your results and that they want storytelling, that's the door that your clients walk through. And that is the door that you build for them to walk through. If they're not looking for what you're good at, it doesn't matter. Get them through the door for what they want and then give them what they need. So you provide corporate training and storytelling. Boom, you're done. Okay, that's all I have to say. James was right there.
Let me clarify. So what you're telling me is we're not a leadership development company and we're not an influence company. We are a storytelling company.
You're a corporate training storytelling company. That's where
Okay.
all of your money is coming from, and that is taking the least amount of effort. Now, that being said, so as a coach, right, I work with women on their finances. They think they have a money problem. So I build the money door for them, and then they walk through and we work on deeper issues like, hey, what are the money stories that you're telling yourself? But they're not saying, oh, I have these money stories, these beliefs that I took on when I was 5 years old. I don't market that piece. I don't market that I do energy work with them. They just come through the money problem door. Like, oh, your business isn't profitable. Come work with me. And then I help them with what they need, not necessarily just what they want, right? So you build the door for what they want. Once they're in the door, you give them what they need.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, meeting's done.
Stephanie, the key things that I got was, what is your passion and what is your gifting? So your passion is meeting design and facilitation, and that is your gifting too. Where you really get kudos and results is through leadership, influence, corporate, executive, and consulting. Those are the key words I got. What you're looking for, it sounds like, is a sentence that summarizes all that in a way that's catchy, that people search and they find you. That's what I understood of what you're looking for. What I would put to you is stay with the very, very, very specific 5 to 10 words, no more than 10 words, it's way too long, 7 or less. Keywords that embody your passion, that embody your gifting, and that embody your results. Passion, gifting, and results. All three needs to be in those 7 words. And then wrap around your SEO and all the stuff that goes on the internet. I have no idea how that works, but wrap around synonyms, anything around that. And the last thing I'd like to say is what Leandra was saying is energy work, frequency, it's all going to come through those words. Some people may say it's nebulous, it's woo stuff, but it really does work. When you put only positivity and energy into something that's really important to you and you put it out there, it will attract. Whether you try it or not, it just will attract. So I haven't given you specifics of what your 7 words or less will be, but it's catchy. And the last thing I'll say, so I did say the last thing, Coca-Cola we put a smile on your face. Are people searching for smile? No. Mercedes-Benz, we keep you safe. There's a Revlon, we sell hope. Keywords, very, very punchy, to the point. You can touch it, you can feel it, you can taste it. So do that with whatever you've got and see if that gets results.
Mhm. Okay.
We'll go with Ozzy.
Yeah, I listened to your presentation and a couple of things came to mind.
Unknown caller.
Excuse me, it's crazy. Of course, it has to be a scammer, right? Anyways, I think you suffer from something that very smart people oftentimes suffer from, and that is you prop yourself around an axle with too much complications. So the key point is this: what is your compelling value, right? What is the compelling value proposition of your company? If you're not sure, then you have some pretty big players. Ask them. What was it about the compelling value that they saw that got them to call you or reach out to you, and most importantly, hire you? That's number one. Number two, PR companies can't tell who you are. You have to tell a PR company who you are and then allow them to get the word out. You can't very well rely on them to tell you who you are. I mean, that's kind of backwards. Figure it out first and then spend your money. Otherwise, I mean, listen, I'm happily I'll give you a discount. I'll do that for you. I mean,
All right, Ozzy, we got lots of hands in the room. You got
anyways, compelling value proposition, why you're the one to deliver it, and then talk to your clients, ask them, why do you hire us? And go from there.
Yeah.
And stay away from all the complications that smart people get into.
All right, okay, put them all up so I can see them all. All right, we're gonna go Jenny, we're gonna go Gloria, Dane, Beth, and Eric, and then you guys have to make it fast so we can talk about our wins.
Yeah. Not on the screen, but Stephanie, you said, so you, when Leandra was talking so you're telling us that we're a storytelling company, and that seems to be exactly what you are. And I'm going to say that you all are so good at meeting design and facilitation because those are actually narrative related things, right? So storytelling is about being able to construct a beginning, middle, and end. And that's what makes a good meeting. And facilitating that is just knowing where it starts, where does it go, where does it end? So I think if you bundle those top three things into that idea of storytelling and narrative, right? That becomes like the center for all the things that you do that are powerful. And then when you're crafting your statement, I'm a writer, and you need to focus on the verb. Okay, so the verb is the action that you're offering people, and that is the most important part of the whatever value proposition statement that you're creating. Is whatever the verb is, that's what your company does, and the objects are the results of it. So when you say like we help, like help is sort of general, but I'm not there yet, but it should be something like we teach, right? Because that's what you offer leaders to tell powerful stories. Right? So you have like the verb needs to hold exactly what you do.
And I would love to finish that with a so that, like
What's the result?
yeah, what's the result? So that what, the business, what? Okay, who did I say? I said Gloria.
Hi, Stephanie, your energy is great. But the energy is mostly about you and what you're doing and how excited you are about doing it and all the things you can do. And I think it needs to be shifted a little bit more to what is the customer excited about and what do they want from you and what do you know about them and what kind of results that they've gotten from storytelling that influence their bottom line. I wanted to hear something about monetizing some, I don't know why, but I just felt like to sell something to a company, it needs to be connected to how is this going to help us as a company and how much are we going to make more money doing this? Because otherwise, many of those topics just look interesting.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the so that, like the why. Why are they hiring you? Like what results are they wanting to get from you? Dave.
Yeah, Stephanie, great presentation. I would love to be in one of your facilitated workshops. You've got great energy for that. I am not a marketing expert, but I've struggled with the exact same thing you're struggling with, which is talking about change management, organizational psychology, coaching, executive workshops, all that stuff. And to reiterate what Gloria just said, I didn't hear your customer in any of it. And the line of work we do, we are enabling them to do something. So try to frame your message. We do this so that you can do this, or frame whatever you come up with. Make sure you talk about them as much as, if not more than, you talk about yourself.
Yeah.
And how much do you really need to lean on SEO? Have any customers come to your website and given you a call and they become a paying client? Or do you find them through networking?
Believe it or not, we're about 60-40 inbound leads that turn into revenue versus 40% network. Actually, it's surprising. I would have expected it the other way around. But our SEO seems to be working, which is part of the reason why we're going for a PR firm instead of a lead gen company.
Okay, cool.
I heard a lot of. Beth.
So I think Ozzy said it really well. I think you suffer from what smart people struggle with, trying to integrate it all. And I think the thing that what it feels like you're confusing is your delivery with what your results are. How you deliver meetings of facilitation is not what you should be talking about, like you said, but you should talk about the results that you generate and maybe how you do it through storytelling. Because I think you're trying to put in what you guys are, your secret sauce, but nobody's interested in hearing about your secret sauce. They just want to experience your secret sauce. Does that make sense?
It's exactly what we have learned, is that nobody even knows why we're special until they experience us.
And that's your secret sauce. So you don't need to talk about it. You need to be it. Because I think your presence in the room is frankly a big reason why people are buying your service, because they want to be around you. So it goes back to what James is talking about in terms of that energy. But people don't buy energy because it's too woo-woo. They buy results, right? They're buying results. So
yeah. I mean, what I hear from clients, especially our executive coaching clients, is they're like, I just want to be more like you.
there you go.
So the challenge, so I'm always like, okay, well then you need to know how to do meeting design and facilitation. And they're like, what? You know,
No, that's not your secret sauce. Okay, Eric, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, having led sales teams, people buy people, they don't buy products. So if you're actually engaging with them, I mean, it's one thing of how you display it on the site, but I would encourage you to keep talking about yourself, keep expressing it as a personal experience, because you're very contagious, you're very inspiring in just the way you communicate. And then just for shits and giggles, I took a stab at it. It's fun to just try and see, right?
I was gonna suggest.
All right. This is the short one. Wolf and Heron teaches executives how to connect and inspire through effective storytelling. That's it. Like, that's what you do really well. I think you would expand on it, saying we use proven techniques from years of experience in corporate training and effective and executive coaching to drive profitable change. So something like that. And then a call to action is connect and inspire your team through effective storytelling. Again, just honing in on that storytelling is a very unique and interesting thing. And then you get talking to you and you are a storyteller.
That's right.
And I'm Eric's agent.
So I didn't catch all that because I can't write fast enough. Can I?
What's your email? I'll just send it to you.
Because he's got it on his phone.
What's your email?
What's your email?
Can you go
My
to your-
email, Stephanie@wolfandheron.com.
And is it PH or F or?
PHANIE. I wonder if I can I type that somehow?
Matt, do you have it on your slide?
No, I'm not that organized.
Facilitation, not
All right, there we
organization.
go. Steph, I got you.
Stephanie at Wolf
And Wolf, A-N-D, Heron.
A&D Heron. Thank you. Appreciate it. And if anyone else has ideas.
So here's one last thing to bring home, just to give you imagery for what Beth was saying, is if you imagine that they're on Pain Island and that they want to be on Pleasure Island, and your Wolf and Heron program is the boat, don't tell them about the motor on your boat and the sails and the woodwork and the hull and they don't care about that. And that's your meeting facilitation, is your motor and all those things. You just want to tell them, here's where you are, and here's where you want to be. And if you want to get over there, you can get on my boat to get there.
Yep.
right?
Okay.
And your boat is your corporate training and storytelling.
Okay.
Once they're on
Okay.
the boat, then you can, you know, get them there with their meeting facilitation and other things that are no longer on the slide that I can't remember.
Storytelling.
All right, thank you,
Thank
Stephanie.
you so much. I really appreciate it.
Right, so who has a win, who has a resource, or who needs some help? Peter.
So we have a win. We were just put on to local think tanks interview. So we just podcast. So we spent 2 hours with our good buddy Kurt, and that just hit LinkedIn today.
Nice.
Good. That's excellent. Who else has a win or resource?
Scoot over a little bit. There you go.
Why is the
Perfect.
camera so far over? Or maybe this is. James.
I have a win. I didn't discover or realize how significant it was until the end of this week, the last 7 days. And that is when you're faced with really big decisions and you don't have the answers and you don't know how to go forward and you don't know what you ought to be doing, what is the right way. And one gets the answers, one gets the clarity, one gets what one is supposed to do. And I've got like another 30% capacity, maybe 50, in fact, 50% more capacity. Because of some significant decisions that were made in the last 7 days. And I didn't realize how much it was taking my capacity trying to figure it out.
So what did you
really
do?
happy.
Did you stop doing something and just sit there to get those?
No, I went to
clarity?
another location, another physical location.
Yeah.
And that generally always does it for me.
Yeah.
Secret, yeah, big
Yeah,
secret.
I always tell people when I'm stuck on like a coding problem or something, I just get up and go to the bathroom, and by the time I
Okay.
walk there, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Yeah, it's a metaphor for getting out of your situation.
Yes.
Right.
Dave.
Bit of a win. I've had this form on my website that is just free, like have better one-on-one meetings with your managers. And I finally turned it into a lead generator where
Wow.
people have to give me their email. And get a CRM up and running and figure out my email marketing.
I was gonna say, well, so a resource, the email system that a lot of people are talking about now is MailerLite, not like MailerLite, but like MailerLite. And it's pretty scalable and it starts at a free level, but much more
I like that.
user friendly than MailChimp.
Cool.
But
What's it called?
MailerLite.
MailerLite.
LITE or GH?
I use MailChimp.
LIT.
It's fine.
MailerLite. Resource. Have any of you heard the